Welcome to episode number 99 of the Roll for Crit podcast, the official podcast of the online board game store, rollforcrit.com. Watch, shop, play. I'm Jonathan Estes.
And I'm Will Keeler. So what happened today in board game history?
Today, well, as you know, if everybody out there, this week is E3, the Electronics Entertainment Expo in the world of video games. Well, in fact, not too long ago, there used to be another convention called 1C and 2Es.
Actually, Jonathan, I got a leg up on you on this because that was actually proven to be conspiracy.
What?
Recently released in documents, it was found that was all government cover-up in order to trick us, in order they can help put funding towards E3. This was released by a Fred Sonny. Unfortunately, he released it at the same time as John Snowden, so he's overcast by
None of this happened in rehearsal. I don't know what's going on. We are usually very stringent about what we say, how we say it.
I like to throw things your way sometimes.
I apologize to everybody. I promise this will never happen again.
You're under their payroll, too. You're just trying to cover it all up again.
I'm going to make sure that the truth about the Cardboard Entertainment Expo is set free. Anyway, what a bunch of idiots we are.
News.
Yeah, some good regular news. Expos that actually do happen, that are actually real and actually do happen. One of them is called Gen Con.
Oh. That's it?
Next story. Well, Plaid Hat Games has announced for this year that they're having a contest to see who can have the best cosplay based on their game Ashes: Rise of the Phoenix Born. The prize is $200. They're going to be judging it themselves. We often talk about, well, it seems like every year that we go to Gen Con, we kind of comment on cosplay.
In particular, last one. We discussed about how you're like, cosplay's cool, and don't get us wrong, we love our video game cosplays, we love our movie cosplays, but we saw, I think, or at least in my mind, there's really one board game cosplay I saw, which was for Coup. Really great one of the Courtesan, I think their name is?
The Contessa.
Contessa. Mix them. But so this, I think, is really awesome. I think we really need to, as board gamers, we need to up our cosplay game.
That's right.
And personally, I think Ashes is a perfect place. It's got its signature Phoenix Born, recognizable. And of course, if you want to go out, you can also get the other characters, the other creatures and stuff, which actually would be really cool if someone actually did like a brigade of like the main person. And I know some people have like cool exclusive creatures or stuff to go with it, like if I'm forgetting the name of the one person who but she has the little mist creatures. If someone actually had like little mist creatures,
like little spider things, or
no. Well, that's another one. Okay. But I was thinking the one that has the little. They look like the Miyazaki thing. Right. So imagine if they had like people that's just like that, just walking around.
You could just have some like stuffed wolves or whatever with you.
Now, obviously, Jonathan, I think you should partake. I think you're a spitting image of Diana Odenstar.
You know me, Diana. People come up to me on the street. Are you Diana Odenstar? And I say yes, and we have long-lasting friendships. I think, and one of the other things we talked about is the fact that I think one of the reasons it's tougher for more people don't do board game cosplay is because so many of them are licenses or more generic kind of things. There aren't as many that have those really specific, unique characters. I think Ashes is one of them.
No, exactly.
Magic is another good example.
And I think that's a big issue because usually, even when you play a board video game, when you make your own character, it's still the recognizable Fallout suit,
right?
Or something. When you make a D&D character, it's armor, so you could wear armor, but you might not.
Be like, oh, you're from Lord of the Rings,
or at least without, unless you go really deep and like obviously you're supposed to be like a specific legendary, but like they aren't drawn a lot as much.
Right. So yeah, I definitely.
And then of course, in Eurogames literally are. I came as a cube!
Yes, I'm a fish. I'm a train.
No, you just come as like a blue cube, but what are you? Isn't it obvious? I'm obviously wheat from Katana.
We need to, we've done our part for Halloween.
No, I loved your Hanabi one. That was clever.
So, yeah, this is good. This is cool. The Plaid Hat is encouraging this, and since they have some of the best, I think, games to go with that.
Yeah. No,
so, hopefully you guys are going to partake.
No. If you are, send us pictures. We'd love to see the process, and even the process too, because God knows how much effort can be put into it to really do it, especially some of these amazing cosplays.
Quite a bit.
Actually, I wonder how this compares prize-wise to other Cosplay Contest?
Probably could be kind of low. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know because like I'm like I wonder if some people are like that's like meager or something.
And also, I mean, there probably isn't going to be that much competition. So if you really go for it, probably got a good chance. Unlike at Comic-Con where there's like billions of people, this might be a little better. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. We're not.
Unless you look like me, because then you should be afraid. I should just be a bag from my head at all times.
There's a weird vibe in today's podcast. I don't know what's happening. I do know what else is happening in the news, however. And this is exciting for a number of reasons. Well, the brand new Harry Potter play was just opened in previews, at least in England. And perhaps to coincide with that news, USAopoly has announced a Harry Potter deck building game. And this is firstly interesting because there aren't really, we've talked a bit before about how there aren't a lot of Harry Potter board games. There was a Harry Potter trading card game for a while.
I remember that.
And there's been your odd little like movie license cheap kids games kind of things.
You mean like the one I have on the show, the 3D tower?
We need to play that. But I always say, I want the Fantasy Flight Harry Potter or an LCG Harry Potter. We've talked about different possibilities they could do. Well, this seems like maybe a step in that direction. And the other thing that's weird is that, to my knowledge, it's USAopoly, who the only other things I ever see them doing are Yahtzee, Clue, and Monopoly.
Well,
this sounds like a little more outside their comfort zone.
Yes, and I think I know why.
Okay.
As you said,
straight.
The ones you mentioned are all the same thing over and over. And while I love them,
this is a deck building game.
It's a deck building game. And one of the reasons I love them is because if you bring a deck building game to the table and people have played one, usually they already have half the strategy down in their head.
Right. You want to buy the bigger cards. Good job. You know how to play.
So I think it's for them to start entering, I guess, the new board game meta, I guess, for lack of like
more
mainstream,
more hobbyists kind of, I guess.
I think deck building is the best place for them to enter. And knowing that they probably have every license under the sun, and no one's touched Harry Potter, like you said, it seems to be the smart choice.
Well, it sounds like this would be, it makes sense as if you do choose to play as one of the students and you're defending Hogwarts and you're buying new spells to build your deck, which makes sense. It's like, oh, you're actually learning spells as you go, which is kind of cool. I am curious, I don't know, I wonder if this will have its own kind of spin, whereas like every other series of deck building games has its own kind of spin. I'm pretty sure it's DC style, not Dominion style, and that it's not a set things you can buy.
It's the random, which personally I prefer a little bit more because I like the randomness.
It depends.
But some people like the other.
Well, I like if there's, like in Dominion, when you have all the expansions, so it's not always the same preset every time. But yeah, that's another discussion. But
yeah.
but Harry Potter, I like it.
Yeah. What I think would have been a cool idea.
Yeah.
For maybe a later on game. It could work in deck building too, but if you didn't really play as maybe a person, like strictly as I'm Hermione or whatever, but maybe more of like you played as a house or something, and maybe because of that you were restricted some way, or maybe you had to find out which house you were. Like this is easier to cast if you're Slytherin or something, or like Gryffindor can't touch this because it's completely against the house.
That sounds cool. No, there's a lot. I feel like Harry Potter is similar to Star Wars in that.
There's a lot of lore to
so many different ways you could take it. And we always say like Star Wars, what if there was just a bounty hunter game or whatever? There could be all kinds of
another awesome
things.
idea. Harry Potter Legacy game in which each year of Hogwarts. So it's 7 games.
Whoa, that's pretty good. I'd split them each into 2 though.
I mean, you could do that too, but you get the idea. The winter break. There's winter and summer break.
Yeah,
or the whatever they call it
and in England, whatever they call Christmas in England.
I'm not sure if they have different like break periods or something.
According to the Harry Potter books, they don't. I think they're all the same. Yeah. So
but, yeah, I mean, Harry Potter is a fandom that, as you said, haven't been really tapped well.
And I also think that it's a good, now that the books are all finished, even though there's more stories coming out. They don't like. I think one of the traps for me the video games came into is that they had
board games too.
Well, specifically for Harry Potter, I'm talking
okay.
about, was that like this is based on book 3, this is based on book 4, so like they had to fit this many details or leave those out.
Also because that movie was coming out too.
Right.
And stuff,
so now it's like they can be a little more fluid and draw from different areas.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, that is actually going to come out at Gen Con, and they're going to have some there for sale.
You got to pick one of those
If it's like good, if it's not just generic deck building, if there's something cool about it, I'm tempted to try it.
However, I know because I remember when this first was announced, hearing someone saying they're going to buy it whether it's good or bad, solely to support the idea that there should be a Harry Potter game. And honestly, if there was a Transformers game like that wasn't movie like Monopoly, I probably would do the same.
Different. Well, because I do love the Harry Potter franchise, but I know that there's been enough. Like if there was, for instance, like a Buffy deck building game, even if it was bad, like that's what I would buy no matter what. Harry Potter, I can.
The point is, everyone has their thing they've been dying to get their hands on.
Everyone has their thing. There will be a Firefly deck building game. Anyway, Harry Potter is not the only franchise to be getting a deck building game. Very excited to hear this announcement. Mm-hmm. Into the Echo Side is the name of the upcoming deck building game based on the Insane Clown Posse band and their Juggalo following. You can see it behind us. There's been some artwork, some crazy cards based on some of the band members, because I think there's like 100 members of the Insane Clown Posse. They like rotate in and out throughout the years.
So about a fourth of some of those like K-pop bands.
Yeah, just roughly a fourth. This is going to be released at the upcoming Juggalo convention.
I'd actually be really disappointed if it didn't come out then.
No, yeah, they're going to have it for sale there July 20th if you're going to be there. I think this is the first game based on a band. I can't. Well, I bet there's some like.
We're not counting like Beatles Monopoly, are we?
Maybe I was gonna say like dating which Backstreet Boy do you get to go out with?
Oh, hold on! He's called me.
I don't know if that exists or not, but it probably does. But maybe the first outside that's not appropriating another game, which is it's at least novel in that regard. And the game actually, it looks like kind of not
Jonathan, okay.
bad.
Release your inner gigolo.
Juggalo.
My mistake.
I have an inner gigolo also. But yeah, it's weird. I mean, juggalos, they're just it's easy to make fun of. That's the only reason. I just thought it was hilarious that we had to bring this subject up.
Well, I think it goes along with the thought how we've realized board games seem to have something for everything. Like trains, farming, band, like we're gonna just.
This is the next step. Well, I think we should get some more. There should be a Beatles deck building game. There should be a, I don't know.
This summer, coming to Cryptozoic's deck building game, Beatles, dun dun.
And then there's a spin-off. There's a bunch of solo games for all their solo careers. And then there's the trader
the Yoko
mechanic
Ono expansion.
Yeah, want to use the Yoko Ono. Anyway. Juggalos, Insane Clown Posse. Please let us know if you're looking forward to this game and if you buy it and what it's like and what kind of weird whether or not, in fact, there are magnet cards in there. That's the trump card in the game. You play the magnet and everyone just like freaks out. They don't know what it means and you win.
It's actually blank. You don't know.
It has no text. You're like, what does it do? I don't know. Anyway. That's fun.
Yep.
Actually, that's not going to be a Kickstarter, which it seems like perhaps it could have been. I guess there are enough of them. They got the funding for it, but there are some Kickstarters to talk about this week. One of which is a big one that we've already talked about. There isn't really a lot more I think we need to say about it, which is Hero Realms. Mm-hmm. Of course, based on the Star Realms series. We did an interview with Rob Doherty, one of the creators, a few weeks ago, and we also talked about it when it was first announced. It's a deck building game. In this version, instead of sci-fi, you're using fantasy characters. However, there are a lot of cool tiers of extra things in the Kickstarter. There's a bunch of different character packs you can get, so if you want to be like a wizard or whatever it is, you actually get a unique starting deck as well as a special power that it has. And then there's all the add-ons for the campaign mode and different bosses you can fight. Just the base is for $20. It actually looks like it's a big box, which I don't know if that was just the art, but it looks like it's not the little Star Realms box. So I think this includes somewhat significant more cards, perhaps, than Star Realms.
But still, it only goes for about $20.
$20.
That's pretty good.
And I think if you want like the ultimate campaign mode is actually like a separate thing. If you want like campaign mode, all the character packs and all the extra add-ons, that's $72. And then varying, you can pick and choose what you want with add-ons and stuff like that. But it does look cool. It is Star Realms, only Hero Realms. It has a proven track record. I'm sure that we'll be playing it when it comes out.
Or have we already?
Oh.
No, we have not.
Very. And if you're one of the people who watched our interview and wanted to see the cards and couldn't see them, now you can see them all up in this Kickstarter. Hero Realms.
Yep.
Next, let's go back into science fiction.
Yeah, we're going back. We're entering Exoplanets. What I guess this counts sort of. What you're really doing is sort of building a planet.
All right.
So you're actually building the planet, like the environments and building up like ocean stuff, but also putting life there and trying to reach an intelligent life form and stuff. And I just thought it sounded really like looking at it's very clean. It's almost zen-like building this planet and stuff, and reminded me a lot of like what we sort of expected and wanted from Spore, almost like, or SimCity-ish. Like that sort of just pretty, like, oh, now I have a nice ocean, or this.
It sounds like the end of Hitchhiker's Guide when he's rebuilding like the Earth, and he's like, I'll put the little fjords here and whatever. Do you know? Every player has their own planet?
Yeah, like you're all building your own.
And I assume it's
solar system,
competitive. You're trying to build the best
from what
planet. And that's.
And to me, I thought that's sort of cool because it seems like, yeah, that makes sense. Like in a game, like I can almost see, like in a board game, like building, like here's this terrain, this is this terrain. Like imagine if you actually did like a Catan thing like that. You actually put hexagons down. Like that was part 1 of the game, and part 2 was actually playing it. Like
I was gonna say that. No, that's what they should do. Is like part 1.
But like this one's a little bit smaller. But like that kind of thing would be interesting. Like sort of, it's like a pseudo legacy. It's like you can play 2 games.
It's a sequel game. We've got legacies on the brain.
Jonathan, we got the new trend. There's legacy games, and then we have sequel games. It's like a shorter legacy. It's just 2.
I think we're going to corner the market on this.
Oh, yeah. By corner, I mean no games.
Edit this out. Don't let anyone see it. Exoplanets goes for $35.
Yep.
They said $40 retail, so you're saving $5. I mean, you can't beat that value. And the last one that I'm going to tell you about today is Dungeon Dealer. Basically, this is an accessory for Dungeons & Dragons, which, again, we keep talking about. And we probably will a little more later, too, again. Basically, if you're a dungeon master, one of the challenges can be to build the actual dungeons. It goes with the title. The different layouts, you want to have variety. You don't want to be repetitive. This is a deck of cards, and as you play, it's actually kind of designed to be used on the fly. So as soon as they open a door, you flip a card. You actually roll a die to determine the orientation of it. And that tells you where they enter in on the card. And the card will have a few different rooms. It'll tell you if there's an enemy there, or if there's traps, or it could have a spot where it says here's a good place for having an encounter, and you can kind of put your own influence into it. And they had another deck for encounters that are different tiles, I think, and you can mix the two together. They both go for $12 separately. Or you can get them both for a cheaper price, I believe.
Yeah, I remember actually seeing this at first. I'm like, this sounds interesting, but you know what? I'm gonna see what Jonathan thinks of it. And lo and behold, you already found it. And
yeah, it actually looks pretty cool.
Because the main reason I did, like I said, you are really our DM for it. So you're the one who really, like, this would be the kind of thing you're already thinking about, I'm sure.
I have started to actually design some of the dungeons for our campaign. And that's definitely.
I'm really hoping one's just like constantly just like left turns.
It's the touch tunnel at Liberty Science Center. It's just because it's nice to have something just for the layout itself, because there's only so many ways that you can come up with.
Now that you just said that, and I just imagine like in in the campaign being like, go to a museum in the world and they have like a little touch dungeon or something like. For kids.
That's what I'm just gonna take a real place and just here's what
Wait a minute, is this my house? No.
I go to the left. There's a bathroom. I knew it. So that's for $12. You can get one of that little deck if you're a DM and you want to check that out. And also, what's cool is you can use this even. It's not specific to Dungeons and Dragons. It can work for any campaign.
Anything with a dungeon.
And even for solo play, it could be used because it's designing the dungeon for you as you play, which is really neat. You played a couple of games.
Yeah.
I was not present.
No.
So I'm going to relax and sit here and enjoy while you tell me about what you played, starting with one that I am familiar with.
Yes.
And then one that I'm not.
So one of the big things we were excited about playing is we actually, for the first time, we actually used one of the pandemic expansions we had since in a long time.
We have played with one of them, I'm pretty sure.
I don't recall playing with.
I know we tried one of them out because I remember we had a 5th virus, and that only came from an expansion.
Well, maybe I wasn't there when I.
Oh, maybe you went out to get food or something.
Yeah.
That's why I'm remembering.
Well, we played with in the lab, and the way this one worked is we played with the lab expansion. What happens is, if you recall, usually you have to try to cure the disease by getting 5 of the card and discarding them in a lab. Instead, what you have to do, there's a board with a little lab and petri dishes on them. Mm-hmm. Every time you treat a disease, take a cube off the board, you put in a petri dish. And there'll be cards you have to match that need like 3 red, 2 blue, and a yellow to make the red cure. And you have to try to match those cubes, and then discard and play other cards and try to cure the disease that way.
So it's less straightforward than just 4 of the color, 4 of the color.
Yeah, there's more tactical movement involving what cubes to cure and how to move them over to the card and stuff.
Does that make the game harder? And did they do anything else to balance it?
Like, I guess nothing to balance it, but balancing actually is you don't need 5 cards anymore.
Okay.
Well, technically you do, but you don't need them all at once, which is a nice thing.
Okay.
Which made it really helpful to be like, I can drop 3 red, because that's much easier to get.
Does that make like some of the rolls a little weaker?
They actually changed. There's certain rules, like you can't use this roll, you have to use these versions of these 2 rolls.
Okay.
Which really just added lab abilities. Mm-hmm. But the thing that, and they balanced that out because also you have to be at the lab to do anything involving the lab board, which makes sense. You can't just be.
Where is the lab? How do you?
It's any of those buildings you build.
Oh, okay.
Those are.
That makes sense.
But we lost. Not because I think the lab is much, because we were doing amazing with the lab. Like, I don't think it's that bad. Okay. It's no different than the rest. But what happened...
We almost always lose anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Well, in particular, I can actually point out the big reason why we lost.
Okay.
As you know, when every time Epidemic comes out, you pretty much put the cards back on top and deal with them. Mm-hmm. We got 1 blue card in the beginning. So 2 blue cubes on 1 city and never saw blue again. So we had a much higher population of the other colors. In particular... Our favorite, the yellow one.
Which always seems to end
that started an outbreak so much we actually couldn't place any more yellow cubes on the board.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So the sad thing is we lost because we couldn't place any more yellow cubes. But if there were, the next card would have caused enough outbreaks to kill us with outbreaks. So pretty much we double lost.
How far along were you? How close?
We actually were pretty close. We had just cured 2 diseases. If that turn didn't kill us, we were probably to cure the yellow disease. And like I said, blue wasn't doing anything.
And you were playing with 4 people, right?
3.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, both these are 3. We got 2 more for we started Millennium Blades, but then people had to leave, and that went on because the reason why we're not going to talk about too much, but pretty much it was great during the buying phase because that was timed. But as soon as the tournament phase happened, just like talking, like stories and everything. So
One
it's
of
like
those. Everything should be timed for now.
I sort of wish, yeah. But moving on to the other game we actually played before pandemic. Mm-hmm. It was really amazing because usually when we're like, what should we play? I don't know. When we actually got our 3rd person, we're like, what should we play? Neil actually chose this like right off the bat, which I'm really proud for him doing. He actually just made a decisive decision.
And we hadn't played this before, but you knew the rules already?
I read them once, so we had to redo them again and stuff. But it's the Miskatonic School for girls. and it's actually it's a deck builder. But what was interesting about it, and it's one of those ones I like because it that just enough of a tweak that really makes it stand apart.
Okay.
The way the game works is you're all technically you're a student and you're gathering other students to help you in the school. But this school is very good, but if you can guess from the title, sort of corrupted by other ones.
Ah, shucks. They can't all be winners.
So it's really the teachers that are the ones corrupted and the bad ones.
Tuition, though, very reasonable.
Yeah, no, just your sanity.
Go on.
So anyways, the way the game works is you start with student cards. And each turn, you're either going to buy, you're going to get one student for yourself. Either buy one or there's like pretty much your Kicks or your Maria Hills,
Your generic cards that are always out.
And then the same thing for a teacher. But you don't get the teacher. You pass the teacher to the player to your left.
Okay.
And any card you buy goes actually in a purchase pile. And that you draw from the purchase pile first. Huh. So you will always get what you buy right away, which is an interesting.
Huh, okay.
And so after all is said and done, if you had any teachers in your hand, which do still help you with buying stuff, you have to then fight them.
Okay.
So what you do is, so let's say I had one teacher in my hand. So I discard the students I used to play, have the teacher, there's like a classroom board. I draw one card off the top of my deck. And if it's a student, the students have stats to help you fight the teacher.
Okay.
And if I had more teachers to fight, I draw more cards. If I draw a teacher that way, they don't help me fight the teacher. But what I get to do is pass that teacher on to another player, so then they have to deal with it.
Huh. Okay.
So it becomes this sort of hot potato with the teachers and trying to keep your sanity. You have like 20 life.
Interaction.
Yeah, it actually worked out really well, and also in the way of like Neil got on this whole, like, he got a building engine going. Such though that I actually started thinking like, oh, I'm gonna give them the teachers that punish them, because depending if they live or you beat them, they have special effects. I'm like, this one will actually punish him so that I get the card he buys or something.
Right.
If it survives, I'm like, oh, I'm giving that to him.
And is it last person standing, or how?
Yeah, it's actually last person standing.
Okay.
And it actually worked out really nicely because Neil actually did get eliminated first. Mm-hmm. But like
that does work out nicely.
I got eliminated like next round, so it wasn't like. It didn't. I think it'd be very hard to make it so like what happens to you when we do like Bang and those kind of games.
Right, or Formula D when you played, where you get eliminated early on.
Which I really like. And the other thing is, like I said, if you do get knocked out with a bunch of let's say I got a handful of teachers, because my deck's all teachers for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. So let's say I drew 5, fighting 5 teachers, I draw 5 more teachers. I'm losing those 5 teachers. I can pass them all to Neil or something. So you can be like, you guys are stacking teachers. He was my left player, so that's why I'm thinking. So you always pack to the left, and there's also like 4 events in each deck too. So there could be things like surprise, like Pledge Week, and then like something happens there, or like Spring Break, which helps and stuff. So it was like cool. Actually a lot of fun. We only played with the base, but I already know there are 2 expansions. I think there are 2 expansions plus a new one that hit Kickstarter a little while ago. That was actually the Miskatonic School for boys.
Oh, okay.
So it turned out to be, I think, a lot of fun for a deck building game, and while still it was quick to pick up.
Right.
So
I assume the artwork is cool.
Well, it matched.
Lovecraft
and also all the teachers are like puns on Lovecraftian. Like Lunch Lady Lulu is like a Cthulhu. Like.
So this is more in the Cthulhu realms style, not less serious.
Yeah, I definitely think it fits in less serious. Like one was like a shadowy figure and it says like N.R. Tep, like Darla Tep and stuff. Like they were all, nice. And we actually, for Christmas, I got this. I think I showed it to you. Like it's an encyclopedia for Cthulhu. Stuff.
I don't remember, but sure.
But we actually used them, looked up like, okay, what's the terrible old man, or like one was like the terrible old janitor and stuff. It was great.
Isn't the terrible old man is in Cthulhu realms? Isn't it? I remember that.
Yeah.
That name.
But like it was really fun to have all these small references, all these nice puns and stuff, and it worked out well. Oh, one other thing I forgot. Your health has 4 different color tracks. Should you switch from go from green to yellow, you have to give out a cackle as you're going insane. Or you're allowed to be mocked as a poor sack of a human, I believe is the words they use.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. I'm definitely a poor sack
of a human. So there were some great cackles.
That's Miskatonic School for the girls. Mm-hmm. School for girls. Look for that. Look for all the girls. Before we go, we've got actually a bunch of pretty good viewer comments and questions. Some very good stuff. So, again, last week we talked about the new Storm King's Thunder stuff for D&D, the new storyline.
I thought you were just throwing out adjectives there.
The new dip. And Raphaelis13, who's helped us out before with some D&D stuff, had some responses, said that they actually have a special write-up to be directly connected to Lost Mines of Phandelver. So he believes that they were in fact stalking us, since they also added the rune magic that you wanted. But on the subject of rune magic, he says that maybe it will be more about having a special stone and tracing its sigil around to cast attacks and effects, rather than inflicting it on different objects.
Well, I think both things would be very nice things.
Would be cool.
They both provide a very interesting twist and change that I think could definitely spice up.
And he also clears up for us the fact that Volo was an old character from the Forgotten Realms, used for many years to write monster manuals and such things like that, and then encouraged us to use Google, to which I say, that's why we have you. That's what our viewers are for, so we don't have to do anything. And also, I was correct in my naming of Newt Scamander, the Harry Potter analog to Volo, and he gave me +1 geek points.
Save them. Don't spend them all in one place.
I'll try not to. And he also, we're not going to read him on the show, but he left 1 or 2 comments with a bunch of really great tips for dungeon mastering, about how to get players more involved and role-playing
and you're gonna
better
definitely
with
take
characters.
them in, right?
Yeah, so that stuff is great. If anyone else has more tips like that, please
We'll put a link to the comments down below, because you definitely would check them out.
We also talked about the Bang lawsuits. We got a comment from Dave Dog, good name, that's Dogge, who lives in Spain at the moment. They just bought the Bang bullet, the big old bullet that comes with all the packs in it, and they were saying that they hope that the expansion packs don't get taken off the shelves or anything. I don't think that you have to worry about that, Dave, because from the sounds of it, it was more on the other end that there was some heat, and I think they worked it out. So I don't think these didn't sound like Bang is going to be going anywhere. I think that it's safe. They also it said in Europe they don't see any of the Walking Dead Bang packs anywhere. So I don't know if that's a thing. If there's other people in Europe watching who have maybe it's not. Maybe Walking Dead isn't as big over there.
It not?
Maybe that's why.
Huh.
I don't even know. Like that's a whole other thing. I don't know what the board game scene is
that's
like.
Because
outside
over there
of
we don't have it
Germany.
here, but over there they have the Downton Abbey Bang.
I was like, is that true?
If that was actually a thing,
there should be a Downton Abbey board game, but that'll be another subject.
Oh, it looks like we found another one of the copyrights that you need a deck building key version of.
We'll get into that. Speaking of copyrights, I always got one.
You love the words. That's your catchphrase. Speaking of.
We need t-shirts. All right. Drawn Steel Hero left a comment on our Dice Masters video, our very first one.
So this would be Avengers vs. X-Men, I believe.
That's correct. So going way back, just some Dice Masters comments. They like, I think we talked about this, how rare stuff isn't necessarily better than common stuff. So you can play a good competitive game even with some of the base sets only. And they also, I think one of the things we were talking about was the lack of playmats.
Back then.
Yeah, well, even still, it was annoying. Now you can buy in the collector sets and stuff like that. But his suggestion was, or hers suggestion was, to download. You can actually download them off of the WizKids site, and then they laminated the playmats. Which is a pretty good budget option to go for.
Well, not only just for that, I mean,
any game.
We can think of plenty of games that might be a little better with a playmat.
And I know, this is on Board Game Geek. I'm sure there's fan designed playmats.
No, for everything. I mean, I remember when I was designing your legendary things. If you recall, on your cards, I actually have. You can look up the symbols of each hero. I got that because I looked at legendary dividers and people actually did that.
Right.
And I know what they also do is. That they actually printed out, and people have made designs, if you recall all the schemes and stuff, made unique art for each one of them. Because people didn't like the fact that all the schemes were the same art.
Oh yeah, that's true. That bothers me too. So yeah, who'd have thunk? The internet, a good place to go for resources for board games. Rico Cordova, our friend of the show, As you all are. Everybody who comments gets to be a friend of the show. Had some things to say about the Splendor review we did last week for the brand new, that's not brand
Splendor
new,
app.
Our brand new review of the not brand new Splendor app. Has been playing it for a while, but hasn't played the physical game.
Interesting.
So has an interesting perspective. Says that he does feel very relaxed playing the app. His wife and he do the pass and play from time to time and enjoy it quite a bit. And never really thought of the game as having a take that mechanic, but can see that happening. And says now there maybe he's more cautiously optimistic about playing the physical game. I would say.
Well, first of all, it depends who you're playing with.
I would say that our group happens to be a cutthroat group of mean people.
I think the other thing is you don't even. I think because I just happen to notice it more. The first time I played the Splendor game, this wasn't really a take that as much as it just works out that way. I would plan to buy something, and always the turn ahead of me, the person bought that item.
Right, you just have
bad
luck.
That was a bad luck thing. So I don't really, but because of, like I said, you could see the chips and everything. You sort of go into that mode almost.
Right, the potential is there, but yeah. He also said the app has a bunch of battery consumption issues, which I'm sure it does. I think every board game app I've ever played is drains your battery really fast.
I'm surprised that it lasted so long when we played it.
I know. Well, this thing's pretty good. Anyway, and this is really the biggest point of his thing to me. He says what has always baffled him is so few apps have asynchronous online play. Turn-based games lend themselves to that option perfectly. Why don't more apps take advantage of that? I'd love to be able to start a game with a few people online, take my turn, shut it off, go about my day, come back later, and see what other players did. He mentions Frozen Synapse as a game that has that option on Steam.
Yeah, I forget, where were we, or were we talking about? I think it was with you. I was with you, but they're talking about games where people email to each other, or usually even letters.
Right.
And be like, this is what I did on my turn.
Right. I think people used to do that with for even chess tournaments and stuff.
Yeah,
old
that
stuff
was
back in the day.
So this is literally the perfect form of that. And there was some game app we used to do that. It wasn't a board game one. I think maybe it was the Avengers X-Men Facebook app. It was the Marvel one.
Something like that.
There was. And also Robot Unicorn. We'd go back and forth beating each other's high scores.
Right.
But that is really what I'd want. Because especially a lot of games, turn-based ones that I think of are apps, are ones that aren't where I need to be Magic the Gathering, for example, I need to wait, now I can try to get this instant speed spell. You're once you've done your turn, there's nothing you can do about it. So really, you can just wait and see what all the damage was.
There's so many board games that are like that. It really makes perfect sense.
Sure, I know some people would argue, I want to see if you drew the red train card for Ticket to Ride in a face down, but really, for an app,
you can see that later.
Yeah, if you want to do that, if you want to really do that, you can put on maybe the pass mode, because then you can watch. But really, I think the app is that seems such a good method to be able to be if you're at work or something, just be okay, I do this.
Oh, what we used to do was Words with Friends.
Yes. That was great.
Yeah.
I love doing that. I loved always being
oh, he played a new word, I'll put this in. Yeah, that was really good. I think there are some unofficial board game apps online that have this kind of play.
Asmodee and all the other big board games
I don't
really
think
need to
any
step
of them
it up
do.
there.
That's definitely something they should get. I guess it's hard to keep the game saved between sessions.
Maybe it's server related.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
But they come on. And finally, Falcon Ash K says, "Congratulations on 900 subscribers."
Oh, thank you.
Glad to be a part of it. That's right. And we are rapidly approaching 1K. So if you're watching this and you're not subscribed, please do so. We'd appreciate it. And next week is our 100th episode.
Oh, yeah.
So if we could get 100 episodes and 1,000 subscribers together.
Well, that's crazy, man. That's crazy talk.
I think we should make that magic happen. But that's all of your comments.
This is all we need to do?
Make more of this magic happen. Make like Harry Potter, remember?
But in order to do that, we'll need you to subscribe. That's linked right down below. Not only that, there's other places they can find us.
Oh, yeah, you could find us on Twitter, @RollForCrit. Our email address, rollforcrit@gmail.com. If you want to ask us a question, have a suggestion for a topic or anything like that, you could also leave a comment right here on YouTube or Facebook or wherever. Then there's our website.
Oh yeah, rollforcrit.com, where we actually sell a lot of the board games we talked about, as well as post more news articles that maybe we didn't get to cover during this, as well as the videos we actually put up, like this, reviews of the apps, our playbacks, the how to plays. Everything's there.
It's the friggin' best.
Friggin'.
Which is our new official slogan. And
is this before or after? Speaking of.
Speaking of, it's the friggin' best. You got to. They're also going to be played back later this week, perhaps E3 related.
Ooh.
Perhaps. So stay tuned. And otherwise, I'm Jonathan Estes.
I'm Will Keeler, and this has been Roll for Crit.